Thank you for joining us for today's PAVE Coffee Chat, Building a Direct-to-Consumer Brand Empire. Please join me in welcoming our host for today, Matts Benson, the co-founder and creative director of Prettyboy Co, a limited edition clothing brand that he and his partner built and marketed through an exclusive online shopping experience. With a strong social media presence of over 20,000 Instagram followers, Matts has had the honor of working with some of the world's top athletes and artists, such as NBA All-Star Trae Young, Bronny James, LaMelo Ball, and T. Grizzly. And also welcome to Nick Yokoyama, the Director of Content Programming at Bleacher Report. With over 10 years experience in the sports industry, including 3 Webby Award wins while working on the Bleacher Report app, Nick is responsible for push notification, community, and newsletter strategy. Nick grew up a huge fan of sports, streetwear, and sneaker culture, and would say he's blessed to still work in those industries today. At the conclusion of today's chat, we will be announcing the winners of the raffle, as well as hosting a brief Q&A. Please send in your questions using the Q&A button found at the bottom of your screen. Now I will turn it over to you, Matts and Nick.
Hey, how's everyone doing? I really want to shout out PAVE for having us here today to chat about 2 things that Matts and I think are both really passionate and excited to talk about, which are sports and sneaker culture. So I kind of just wanted to hop right into it. And Matts, I think a lot of people here probably already know who you are, but they might not know your story. So I wanted to start there. So tell us how you got started.
I got started kind of at a really young age. So I was really passionate about sneakers, clothing, and just looking fresh since I was probably like 11, 12 years old. So I was in middle school and I started getting really into the sneaker culture because I played basketball and it was just a big part of my everyday routine, just finding some nice basketball shoes. And I had no money. So I ended up, I think I started off in about 7th grade getting my first pair of Air Jordans. And I got them at like a Foot Locker or something. I think I was out of the country. I think I maybe got them in Sweden. And I got those. I wore them a little bit. And then I wanted a new pair, but I didn't have enough money to get a pair because I was young. I didn't have any kind of income or anything. So I ended up making my first eBay account, and I ended up listing them for sale, and they sold in like a day. And I think I even lost money, like maybe $30, but I wore them. So I was like, you know what, this might be kind of like a little business opportunity. So I started getting more into it, and I started checking out, there was a store down the street from my house that got every single new shoe, new Jordan, whatnot. So I started checking out that store, and I built a connection with them. And then they started helping me out and giving me a pair every time that the shoe came out. And at that point, I was selling the shoes on Facebook. So there's all these Facebook groups where I could sell shoes. And I was about an 8th grader. So I was about 13 doing this. So I would get a shoe when it came out. I'd only get one pair. I didn't have much money. So for me, I would just reinvest after every single release. So I would get a pair. I would sell it for maybe $50, maybe $100 more. And I would just keep reinvesting that money. And my expenses were low. The only thing that I ever spent money on was food. And that was really occasionally, like I ate at home for free. I had free rent. I lived at home. So there was a lot of opportunity for growth. And I started continually flipping. I started going to sneaker cons. And by the time I finished middle school, I probably had 20, 30 shoes. And my parents were looking at me like I was crazy. They were like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're wasting all this money on sneakers. They didn't understand it. They're a lot older. They weren't around. They didn't understand you could make money off of it. And I kind of, you know what I said, I don't care. Like, I'm going to do this. It's my own money. I can do whatever I want. And I didn't take their advice because my dad, when I probably had about 5 shoes, he was like, you're crazy. Like, he got all mad at me and like basically wanted me to quit. Like, he thought I was addicted. I wasn't addicted. It was profitable and I was making money. So I was doing that. And then as I got a little bit older, I got into high school. I started like continually moving up, started going from 10 shoes in my collection or resale collection, whatever, to maybe 50. And then by the time I graduated, by the time I got to like, not even graduated, by the time I got to sophomore, junior year of high school, I was selling like a ton of shoes. So I was probably selling back then, like maybe, this isn't even a lot of shoes, but I was probably selling like 20, 30 shoes a month. And I was getting new releases. I was getting shoes off other people that didn't want to wear them anymore. And I was just, selling them. And so by then I had built up a big enough collection of shoes in my inventory that I decided to create a page with some of my friends. So we created a page called Prettyboy Co. right there. And it was originally just used to sell sneakers on. So we just posted our sneakers that we got, me and a couple of my buddies, and just selling sneakers on there because we had a good good customer base already built in, because people had known us around the Bay Area for having shoes and just selling for good prices. So we just built that page up, and eventually we made some merch, and people really liked the shirts. I remember like we first came out with the shirts, we made like 25 of them. People loved them, and we just kept selling the shirts, and it got to a point where the shoes was kind of taking a back seat to everything because everybody wanted the gear. We came out with hoodies. Everybody at school wanted a hoodie. So building that, it got to a point where I decided to separate the two businesses. So it went from having a sneaker business on one end and then having my clothing brand. Because I had to make, if you really want to grow a clothing brand and make it successful, you have to dedicate a lot of time and energy into it. And you have to make it as professional as possible. Because at first I was taking pictures, like terrible iPhone quality pictures. I had probably an iPhone like 5 or 4. The pictures were terrible quality of shirts just on the ground. Like they weren't nice pictures. I didn't invest in getting a camera, or I didn't invest in having a photographer take the photos. So I had invested. I had a friend, and we did a photo shoot with a bunch of people. We took really great pictures, and when we did that, the brand's image started growing. And once the brand's image started growing, people wanted it more. And once people really, really got into the brand, it became a thing where we could drop stuff every single couple weeks or every single month, and we would sell out. And my whole scheme was I was not trying to play out a brand, because a brand can easily be played out. So for me, I wanted to create it and make it a limited edition brand, just like a brand I loved when I was a kid, Supreme. And they always drop everything on Thursday. It's limited edition. If you don't get it, you're just gonna have to pay resale for it. You're just not gonna get it. So I was like, I'm gonna come out with a certain amount of hoodies. I'm either gonna do pre-orders, or I'm just gonna come out with 50 hoodies. That's just a number, for example. And if once the hoodies are gone, they're gone, and somebody can't get them, I'm not gonna restock. I'm gonna keep it exclusive. And I got to a point where people really liked the hoodies, so we would sell out and we would move on. And we kept it super, super clean and straightforward. Like, we didn't do any crazy designs. It was just very simple, but our quality was great. Our professionalism was top tier. And that's kind of how we took it to the level it's gotten to today. So that's kind of like me throughout high school. And then once I got to college, I came down to LA and I just turned it up another notch. And that's pretty much. Yeah.
You talked about the brand name. I'm just curious, like, how did you come up with the logo and the graphics, and where the name come from?
So everybody had always called me Prettyboy in high school. And just because like I tried to be a rapper for a little bit, that didn't work out. So everybody called me Prettyboy. And I started with some friends of mine, so it was just Prettyboy Co. It just made sense. And can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, just where did the name come from, and how did you kind of settle on the logo and the script graphic?
Oh yeah, so the logo, because everybody, when you sell shoes, like, it's good to be known as the plug, because you're somebody that comes through with something that somebody, not the regular person, can get. So I was known as the plug. We were all known as the plug. We got all the shoes. So we tied the brand in with the streetwear culture, and we kind of made it one. So that's kind of exactly how like the brand was built, and how we created the name and the label. Because our catchphrase was "Your plug's plug," because we had stuff that your plug, your regular guy you might get shoes from or might get some clothes from, didn't have. We had the exclusive stuff. So that's how we built up the name, and we created the label and whatnot.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, at what point, because you talk about going up through high school and you're building this brand and this business through middle school and high school, and that's wild. At what point were you like, man, this could actually be like a full-time business?
I think it was like, I honestly don't think it happened. I took it serious, but I played sports. So for me, it wasn't like, I played a lot of basketball all my life. So for me, I spent more time on basketball than I did on my business. But I think it was senior year, I went to Los Angeles Sneaker Con. I'd taken it serious as a business throughout high school. Like I went super hard on it. I loved it, but I never really realized that I could really do this full time and not have to have another job until senior year of high school. I went down to, in the summer, I went down to Los Angeles Sneaker Con. I remember I sold 150 shoes or something in one weekend. And I came home with more money than I've ever seen in my entire life at that point. So I saw that and I was like, yo, this is legit. Like, I'm gonna move down to LA. I'm gonna go to school down there and I'm gonna take this business to a whole nother level. So but yeah, it was that point in my life where I saw that and I was like, okay, like I never seen that. First of all, I'd never seen that much cash in my life. So for me, it was like, just like an eye-opening experience, seeing how many, like, I didn't think I bought 150 of my shoes. I didn't think I'd be able to sell all 150 that weekend. So like seeing what the sneaker community and the culture is like in LA, being at that sneaker event, seeing like the transactions, money trading hands, just seeing all of that kind of brought it to light. Like, yo, this is like a legit business. Like there's 30, 40-year-olds here doing this full time, successful. So, and then I think it was that. And then when I got my first car, I was like 17. I just got my license. I'd always wanted a BMW, and I'd saved up doing the whole sneakers reselling and flipping like since I was younger. And because I had started off selling, I'd always sold stuff when I was younger. I'd start off selling candy. I started anything, bucket hats, anything you could sell, I was selling. Legal on a legal spectrum. But yeah, so I was doing that, and then just got older, got my car, and then went to LA and went to that sneaker con. And after that, it was like, yo, I'm locked in 100% all in. And I quit basketball. I was done with basketball, so I had way more time to put into it. And once I put that time in and really invested all my energy, I started paying dividends immediately.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, I'm sure a lot of people on this call are like in school right now. You're still in school and you're running this full time. Like, how do you balance that? And what made you kind of stick to like staying in school and then not just leaving?
Yeah, I mean, I really like school. I think the connections I built in school, the opportunities, I've met a ton of great people down here. I like school. I would recommend anybody staying in school, but for me, I spend a lot more time on my businesses than I do on my schoolwork. And that's just for me a priority thing, because I honestly think my businesses are gonna be more successful in the long term than me spending more time studying. And I still do well in school. So it's just all about time management. I wake up early every single day, wake up at 6:30. I go to bed at 1, 2. So I'm locked in all day doing whatever needs to be handled, and I go to bed late, wake up early. That's just how what you have to do if you want to be able to handle everything you have on your plate. Because like during the school year, it's really hard to do everything. I have homework, projects, tests. So I'm kind of just juggling that, fitting it in wherever I can. But I'm definitely prioritizing my businesses and the company's success over my success in school. And I've definitely been hard though, because I've definitely struggled in school. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll be honest, I've struggled in school. It's very difficult for me to keep up, to study. Sometimes I feel like I'm wasting my time, but there has been experiences and things I've learned in certain classes that have helped me. So just to see the value in that is important for me.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, at minimum, the networking that you can get like on campus like that and in those classes, I think that's huge.
Yeah, you work at Bleacher Report. You know all about networking and the kind of connections you can meet through sports and being in LA, being at LMU, great connections, a lot of people you can meet. Definitely.
Yeah. I wanted to get into that because I think like where you and I connect, or where our businesses connect, it's at that intersection of sports and sports culture. And I was curious, like, how does sports play a role in your business right now?
It plays a huge role. A lot of my brand's biggest endorsers are basketball players. So I just use my connections as a basketball player. I wasn't the best basketball player, but I knew a lot of the best basketball players in the Bay Area. And I used those connections to build my connections nationwide as far as basketball. And then once one basketball player like the brand, then it just went up from there. So just seeing my reputation as a basketball player and seeing how I can use that as leverage in building my brands was essential. because the brand wouldn't be anywhere without the support of all the basketball players and all the people that I've met along the way that wear the brand. So I kind of just networked. I met a certain basketball player. He was friends with a certain basketball player, liked the brand, DM me on Instagram, wanted some gear, and just worked it through that. So that's kind of like, and once you really get into the game, you really start knowing certain basketball players, you can be tapped in with anybody. Like, so just using connections and leveraging certain connections was really essential. So yeah, I would say basketball and my connections in sports have played a huge role in my success, selling sneakers and clothing brand.
Definitely. And I think, I've seen some huge stars wearing your stuff. Like I mentioned it in the intro, Trae Young, Mikey Williams, Bronny James, Shai. And I think like what's interesting to me is like the tunnel where NBA players are walking to their locker room. That's like the modern day runway. So how does that feel? Like, what was that? Did you have that moment when you see someone like walking to the arena, to the game, wearing your stuff? Like, what does that feel like? How surreal was that?
It's honestly a surreal feeling. I think I remember the first time LeBron's youngest son, Bryce, wore it to a Lakers game. It was incredible. He was wearing it with LeBron. They were taking pictures. That was crazy. But I think the first time that the first guy to really wear it in the runway was Shai. So seeing him wear it, seeing how influential he is in fashion, and for him to choose my sweatshirt and wear that before a game, incredible. And the pictures they take, it's and with League Fits, I don't know if you guys know what League Fits in. It's this big Instagram page where they post like NBA players' outfits. So just seeing that I can't even explain how I felt. It felt incredible. A great feeling.
What was like the business impact of when someone like Shai or Bronny or Bryce wears your stuff and it's tagged on IG? Is like the website going crazy? Is your IG going crazy?
Oh, after Bronny we had one sweatshirt he wore on Christmas Day or around Christmas time with LeBron. It was our collaboration with Jelly Fam. That sweatshirt, I think our website traffic that year went up like 300, 400%. So we went from 30,000 website visitors to like 120,000 website visitors in a year. But that was kind of like over time because every page was posting him in that hoodie. People were asking in the comments, where can I get that hoodie? Because even if they weren't tagging us, there was still a lot of eyes on that particular sweatshirt. So that definitely draws a lot of draw for our brand for sure. And the thing is, the problem with that though is it doesn't necessarily drive sales because our sweatshirts most of the time are sold out. So it just draws more eyes to the brand, new followers, new newsletter subscribers, certain things like that. And then down the line, they might end up making a purchase. But it's a little bit different of a normal approach. The normal approach a lot of brands make is they have stuff in stock. Somebody wears it, they order it. But a lot of our stuff will sell out when it comes out. So we're kind of trying to build that cult fan base that buys stuff when it comes out versus having it on the website all the time. Like we could make 500,000 of hoodies and just leave them on the website forever and never sell out. But then the brand would be played out, wouldn't be cool anymore, in my opinion. Because something's not super cool if you can always get it. It's just kind of how we think as humans. You'd rather have something.
I think like the scarcity of it just builds even more of the hype. And I think that definitely worked with you. And you mentioned Supreme. I think they do that the same way. And what I think is pretty cool is like, even though maybe, you have limited stock on stuff, I looked at a few videos and I saw a couple cool pop-ups that you had in the Bay in LA. And I'm just, curious, like what was the thought process around that? How did you figure out where you wanted the location to be? How did you figure out how to market that? And just walk us through that.
Oh, so I think pop-ups are a great way to really target a certain audience and really grow the support of a brand. So we originated in the Bay Area. So our first pop-up, it was only right to have a pop-up in Oakland. We created our own space. We put up huge, we basically transformed the entire space into like the Prettyboy area for the weekend. So we had banners. There's a bunch of just crazy little details that inside the store and outside the store. So you could kind of tell it was our own space. And doing that in Oakland was great because we have a huge fan base out there, a lot of customers, a lot of supporters. So we created the spot in Oakland. It's a lot of work, but we had so many people come out, new people exposed to the brand, people driving by asking, what is this? And just new people come through the store. And we had a line almost the whole day for both days. So we had a ton of like new people. We created a whole collection just for Oakland. So we made shirts, long sleeves, hats, beanies, and stuff like that, shorts. And that was just a way for people to get something that they could commemorate their experience and remember, like, oh, this was why I got this from the Prettyboy pop-up in Oakland. So we did that less to make money. Obviously, of course, we wanted to make money, but that was more to show, okay, we're an established brand. We can have pop-ups, we can have events, and it's our way to connect with our customer base because people love shopping in person versus online. Like when you're in person, you can feel the item, try it on, see how it fits, see how it looks. And that creates a whole different experience for your customer that you wouldn't get normally if you shop online. Shopping online is great, especially like right now during the pandemic. It's probably the only way you can really shop, unless some stores you can go in, of course. But yeah, pop-up, I recommend it 100%, especially but we didn't want to do the thing with the pop-up. And the whole reason we took so long to do it, because we've been around since 2016. We waited to 2019 to do the pop-up because we wanted to build up our fan base. We wanted it to be big. We wanted to have a lot of people. We wanted to be able to put money into it that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to earlier on. So we did the pop-up in Oakland. And then I think 6 months later, we did a pop-up in Los Angeles. It's the shirt, I'm wearing it. And that was crazy because I grew up always loving Fairfax and Melrose. They're two huge like streets in LA, and like all the biggest stores have spots there. So we actually had our own pop-up on Fairfax, which was crazy. We outfitted the whole store again, made it our own space for the weekend, and it was crazy. We had a bunch of new faces coming through, our friends, family. And yeah, the promotion about the store, everybody was reposting it, tweeting it, Instagram storying it, posting about it. And yeah, the LA one was really good promotion too. So just kind of the promotion, you can look at it as, okay, you're going to make X amount, or you're kind of make X amount from the pop-up, but it's more than that because you're growing your brand. You've got a bunch of new followers, got a bunch of new people hearing about the brand. So but yeah, the Los Angeles one, I think we even have a video. We might have a video that we could show from the LA one, which is pretty cool. I don't know if they have that, but yeah, it was dope. I think pop-ups are a great way to expose people to a brand, and you can do them really cheaply. Like you can create a pop-up where you don't need to spend a lot of money. You can get a small space and you can just outfit it, have some of your friends help out, and just have some clothes on some racks and promote it. Yep, here we go.
Mellow made it right. Nigga, I was damn bad. Now I'm on a jet for real. Got all this ice on me, baby. Told my protector chill. Sipping all this codeine, my baddest bitches on X pill. I want a couple million without a record deal. Got 25,000 on me when I been riding in the phantom. Got all designer on me, bitch. I'm so fly, don't matter. I wanted to feel the V12 when I was riding in Atlanta. Busy been cushion all day. I'm damn near high as my phantom. I got 3 bitches with me. They want the baguettes on their neck. Bitch, I was made inside the projects. I got crip on my set. Busy been cushion all day. I'm damn near high as my phantom.
That was dope. And I think one underrated thing that I always think about when working at VR is like pop-ups help you build that sense of community. Like you are out there, I see you're taking photos with the people who are fans and champions of your brand, and you're building that relationship. And I think that is super key, especially when you're starting out.
Definitely.
And, kind of off of that, like, I'm just curious, and you mentioned it a little bit, but like, how have you tried to build brand loyalty? And maybe it's like partly the exclusivity of your releases, it's these pop-ups, but how have you thought about building brand loyalty?
I think it's been through creating products that stand out, that are, especially as I've gotten old, as the brand's gotten older, we've definitely stepped up certain things, quality, packaging, just little things. We ship packages in certain Prettyboy like sleeves and all this stuff. So we just add little details and do the little things. And another way we really try to build brand loyalty is through just our professionalism, how we handle our customer base, how we treat our customers. We're respectful, responding to emails, just doing the little things that can set us apart from other brands, because we're still a small growing brand that has not really reached its peak, but which means, and we had a lot of growing pains. We had a Black Friday deal, Black Friday last year. We had to ship almost 500 orders, and it took us 3 days to ship all those orders. We were shipping them. We came down to LA and we were just shipping orders all day for 3 days straight. And this was the middle of my finals week. So I was taking a test, coming right back, shipping orders. It's coming right back. And so just doing, going above and beyond for your customers and above and beyond and pushing yourself. For me, the biggest thing is holding myself accountable. Have I done something this week? Have I done something today to grow the brand? Whether it's post a photo on Instagram or call somebody to possibly get somebody some gear or do a photo shoot. Did I meet with somebody today to talk about ways I can grow the brand? Did I call somebody? Did I do any little thing to grow the brand? So just holding yourself accountable is huge. Like if you want to be successful, you have to think about what you're doing every day. Because a lot of times people like to make excuses instead of just looking yourself in the mirror and saying, okay, maybe I am responsible for why something's not going so well, or let me fix this. Let me put my head down and do this. Let me look into our finances. Why are we not making as much as we should? And just analyzing every single thing you can, because there's always work you can do. I know it's fun to relax and watch TV and chill, but you can definitely spend time working on yourself, working on your business, whether it's reading a book or watching a documentary about something you're interested in that might help you with the brand. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's about holding too. That definitely can help.
Word. And you kind of mentioned it with the Black Friday thing. Like I'm sure a lot of people can learn from some of the mistakes that you've made. Like what would you say is one of the biggest mistakes you've made that people can learn from?
I would say, let me think. I would probably say one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made personally is taking like time off from working on the brand. So I would say it was not really going above and beyond to try to network. So when I first started the brand, I used to be a little bit afraid, like, would people like it? Like I wasn't confident enough in the brand myself for it to get it out there and to really grow it. And I think that's why it took a while for it to grow, versus if I was really hands-on, I really was really thought the brand had some potential from the start, I think it would have grown a lot faster. And I think we would be at a farther place today. So I think my biggest mistake was not having self-confidence in the brand. Like I thought this stuff was dope, but I didn't think it was dope enough to really push a lot of people into, check this out. Just standing on a corner, just handing out cards or something. I wasn't doing all that at the start necessarily that I could have been doing. Like I could have done more. So my biggest mistake is probably not doing enough at the start. And I still, I try to do enough. I try to do enough now, but I still think I don't do enough. So I would say my biggest mistake is not holding myself fully accountable, but I do hold myself accountable. It's a learning experience. I'm getting older, kind of learning about myself, how I work, what makes me run and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. At what point, was there a point where that like clicked and you were like, oh man, I got to do this if this is going to work?
I think it was when I got down to LA, I'm like, I had the opportunity. I was in a space and in a place that has some of the most opportunity in the entire world as far as with celebrities, with connections, with production, manufacturing. And I'm like, let me turn this up another level. Let me make the connections for the manufacturing so I can start making cut and sew pieces and make whatever I want. Let me get some new endorsers, meet some new people out here. Let me network, go out, meet people. So definitely, I think graduated high school, came down to LA, just a different gear clicked in my head that I had never had click before.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
How do you think about leveraging your social? Because I think for you, I'm sure it's one of the best ways that you advertise. So how do you dive in there?
For social media, the biggest thing is you have to be active, but you also have to make sure you know you're posting quality content. Like posting 1 million photos all the time is just going to bug people. They're not going to want to follow you. They're not going to engage with you as much. So you just be very selective of the content you're posting. I try to post a couple photos a week on my on the Prettyboy Co page to really let people know about our products, let us know about new releases. If we have something that's coming out, it'll be okay. We'll drop this. We'll put a bunch of photos out that week. But not. I think you can use your platform as a great way to endorse the product, but you shouldn't rub it in people's face too much. So there's a fine line, and just kind of where that fine line kind of fits in. But being active is definitely essential. I'm on my phone all the time, 24/7. It's really bad.
Yeah.
So putting the time in, definitely maintaining your accounts, posting new information, posting about how somebody can order something, just informing people. Every day you can post something productive, especially on your story. Even make a post every once in a while. Like you can do something social media. But yeah, leveraging social media, that's probably one of the best ways we've gotten business. I was looking at our insights on our website a couple weeks ago, and it was almost 90% of our customers on our website last year were from Instagram.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
That's wild.
I think because obviously Bleacher Report is not necessarily in the retail space, but I think when we think about building a brand, whether that is in our app or on social, IG, Twitter, etc., kind of how I think of it is in threefold. So first, what was that?
You guys have a massive following.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to take all the credit or any of the credit for that at all. There are people behind the scenes doing work every day on that. But how I see the field is kind of in three. One, you want to know your audience. Like for sure, you want to know what are they engaging with? Look at the metrics. What are they engaging with? What are they talking about? Two, you want to be authentic, and I think that's where your brand has done a great job of that. You want to be authentic and true to you, and you want to talk with people, not at them. And I think that is 100% the most important thing. And then the third thing for me, and you embody this too, and this is why I love this convo, is you got to do the work. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And I think that that's to me the three core steps if you want to continue to build a brand. And it's really like doing that work, leaning into community engagement, like you said. And I think that's how we've done it at Bleacher Report, and I see that's how partially you've done it at Prettyboy, and I think that's huge. So last thing for me, and I think a lot of people will get stuff out of this. What words of wisdom do you have for people wanting to start a business?
I would say it's not an overnight thing. I've been selling shoes, hustling my whole life, probably since I was 11, 12 years old. I told everybody I was selling candy. I was selling hats, anything I could make $1 on. So I think I'm 21 years old now. So that's about, you could argue, 10 years of hustling, finding out what I'm good at. I would say the biggest thing is just staying down, is trying to, and just putting your head to some type of business or some type of idea you have, and really putting your all into it. I think it's easy to have a lot of ideas that you're thinking to be successful, but it's very hard to execute. A lot of people come to me with ideas all the time, like, yo, check this idea out. It's going to be a $1 trillion company. I'm going to make millions of dollars in a year. You're not. Most of the time, you're not. It's going to take years and years to grow. And you're going to have years where you're broke and you're not making money. You might have to have another job to pay your bills while you're working on making this company. And so you're probably not going to have time when you come home to watch a lot of TV, to hang out with friends as much as you would like. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. So if you want to be successful and have your own company, especially with like direct to consumer, you're going to have to put a lot of stuff on the back burner. You're going to have to say, okay, I'm going to really, really grind these next couple of years to make something successful. And I'm going to give up some stuff that I normally wouldn't want to, because I know it's going to be something that has potential, but I really need to put my time and my energy into it. Like I just started hiring a bunch of employees and stuff and people that work for me, because it's gotten to the point where I can kind of let other people handle a lot of the business. But I was doing everything for the longest time, and that wears on you. It's hard, but if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to put in the work. So my favorite thing to tell people is I'd rather be tired than broke, because at the end of the day, you have to put the effort in. The time and effort is just, there's no way to beat around the bush on that. I'm sure Nick would probably say the same kind of thing. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, and I think you kind of just spoke the gospel there, to be honest. And I resonate with that. I would rather be tired than broke. At the end of the day, I think we're both lucky because when you can work on something you're passionate about, like as corny as it sounds, it doesn't feel like work. And I genuinely believe like when you find something that you're passionate about, plus you have the skills to execute on it, like that is where the magic happens. And I really, truly, truly believe that. And I think I'm curious because we didn't actually get to touch on this, like 5 years, 10 years down the line, like where do you want your business to be? Like, what are you trying to go for?
So probably for the brand, I want to grow the brand, keep building it. I'm looking into warehouse spaces just because we've outgrown our particular setup right now, and create like a Prettyboy space where it has like a basketball court, lounge, a bunch of stuff along with fulfillment, sneakers, all that stuff. So kind of create our own kind of vibe there. I want to keep doing that, but I'm looking into other businesses. There's a lot of other opportunities and a lot of other ways to make money right now. So I'm probably trying to maybe start my third business soon, like maybe by the end of this year. I can't really go into details about that, but there's definitely like a certain business that I'm looking at and a certain idea that I think is going to be very successful. So I'm probably going to keep doing that, or try to make that my only business at the end of things. But right now, the sneakers, the clothes, it's very fun. It's I do well for myself. I enjoy it. And I think that the biggest thing is I'm happy doing it. I have no problem waking up every day and working all the time and doing sneakers and doing clothes, because I love that. The clothes, sneakers, I'm passionate about it. Like you said, so you care about it, you like it. It's worth every single minute and every single second you spend on it.
Yeah, and I think you even said you're starting to hire employees now, and like advice from me on that end is like I think of that as a huge thing because there's only so many hours in the day that you can handle. But if you teach someone to fish, you teach them to do things how you like it to be done or whatever that may be, that's going to be how you scale. And I think that is a huge move, and I love that.
You can only go so far by yourself. That's the reason I started hiring employees. I realized what my potential by myself is limited. But if I teach other people what I know, it's limitless. Yeah. So cool. One operation with hundreds of employees, all doing certain type of work is something to help me and have teams to do stuff that I do now and kind of cut down on my work, because I know right now I'm young. I'll be tired by the time I'm 30 doing this kind of level of work. I don't want to be doing this level of work. I want to have an automated process where I have employees handling my day-to-day operations, and I'm at home chilling. So grind now, shine later. So it's going to be a process. I'm definitely trying to continue growing it and building it, but you can't build anything if you don't have employees and help. It's really hard by yourself to do stuff. So like Nick said, you got to have a team. You got to build your team up and choose wisely as well.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. And last thing I had, top 3 Jordans of all time. Hit me.
I'm going to ask you this too, but my favorite is the Bread 1. That would probably be my first favorite Jordan. Then I just like classic Jordan. So Bread 4. And then this is a new recent one that came back out. It was kind of a classic. It was a player edition, but the Jordan 3 UNC. I love that. So I would say those 3 Jordans. I like 3s a lot. I like 1s a lot, and I like 4s a lot.
Yep.
So, yeah. What about you?
On my end, I love 1s. So I would say Chicago 1s, Bread 1s, and then most recently the Union 1s, either black or blue toes. Those are fire.
Good. You have any of those?
I have the blue ones, yeah.
Unions?
Yep. Off of retail. Got them off the site.
You got those off the Union website?
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, those are a hot shoe.
Yep. All right. I think that's it, but appreciate everyone. I know we're going to go to Q&A now, so I'll toss it to Dash or Nikki.
Thank you.
Actually, before we do Q&A, we do have some giveaways for the attendees today. So we're going to give away first a t-shirt, and we're going to do a random generator here of the attendees. And once we have the winner, we're just going to ask that you send through the Q&A button your information, your name, phone number, or actually just your name and email, and we'll get you guys set up. Andre want a t-shirt. So Andre, if you can send in just your name and email address, and we'll get with you on the details of getting you a t-shirt. And the second spin is for a hoodie. So this is for a Pretty Boy hoodie.
Deborah.
And that's going to go to Deborah. Thank you. Thank you, Matts, for being able to do some giveaways and get them to the attendees. So, and now we've got a couple of questions for you guys, actually, some really good ones. So the first one we got is, how do you go about getting the high school players to wear your brand? Same with like Trey Young, Tyler Hero. Did you guys send them stuff, or did they ask you for stuff?
A lot of the time, most of the time it's all natural. So with Ronnie, he was super good friends with Mikey. He had asked, he had seen Mikey wearing it. I gave him some stuff, and then I met up. I'm really cool with Ronnie's coach. Gave Ronnie's coach some stuff to give Ronnie. Trey Young, I had actually brought, after our pop-up in LA, I'd met up with a couple of his Hawks teammates, and I just slipped a little bag in there for Trey, because a couple of his teammates had wanted some gear. So after the pop-up, this was like, I was dead tired. I've never been more tired in my life. We had done the pop-up the whole weekend, and I shot over to their hotel in Beverly Hills and dropped off some stuff. And I just gave a bag for Trey. I didn't know if he was gonna like it, and he ended up loving it. And then his homie, his good friend, reached out to me recently, and I sent him out some more stuff. So just like little ways, you never know who's gonna know somebody. My good friend knows a ton of NBA players, so I got like linked up with a couple of them just through him. He's cool with them, and they see him wearing it and whatnot. So just little things like that.
Did you ever go ahead?
No, you go.
Yeah, were you ever too reliant on discounts and maybe giveaways to build your brand? And are you kind of friends?
Oh no, we never. For us, the biggest part about my brand is there's never going to be a discount. We don't ever put stuff on sale. So I'd rather sit on products, not take it off the site or whatever, than put it on for sale. Because I think when you put something on sale, it drives down the value of your brand as a whole. So that means stuff can't sell. So with the whole thing we try to maintain is our image. Our image is essential. It's like 100% of our brand. So making sure our products are limited, making sure top quality, making sure people buy it. So, but yeah, we don't ever do discounts, giveaways. We do on occasion, but that's more just to really grow our customer base and expose new faces to the brand. But giveaways are a great way to do it. But a lot of the time, a lot of our followers and a lot of our customer base just comes from other people wearing it, posting about it, and do that. Yeah.
Fantastic. They also say that, being a DTC, you need to manage your data far better. So what are the things that you're doing to find out, who your customer is, previous purchases, how do they interact with your brand, stuff like that? How are you managing the data?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our website, actually, we have a website through Shopify. So Shopify provides analytics for all of that stuff. So you can literally see people's actions the second they step onto the website and how they kind of browse the site, what they decide they end up picking on, where they're from, how many times they bought something. So we look at certain things like that, and then we have a newsletter, and we can target certain people and certain audiences just based on their purchases and their purchasing habits. So we use our website. It's a thing called MailChimp. It's a great way to drive customers to a website. A mailing list is something that a lot of people know about, but a lot of people aren't fully utilizing. And I think it's one of our biggest ways to draw customers besides social media. And we use that, and we can specifically pick certain customers and people and just send them invites and updates about new releases and stuff. And we definitely see a lot of good retention tactics from that.
Nice. And we did touch about this in the chat about, acquiring customers and how do you build a better customer experience and relationship. What are your plans for unhappy customers?
Unhappy customers, there's always something you can do to make them feel better. So working with, I don't ever want to have a customer mad, sad, or unhappy with the brand or with something I did, whether it was, I don't even know if it was my fault or anything, but something that happened, maybe your package came a couple of days late or something. So I'm always trying to do whatever I can to make a customer happy, because your customers are everything. You got to treat them like family. You got to take care of them. You got to respect them and understand that maybe something that happened might have been your fault. You might have slipped up and put the wrong size in the package, or something might have happened. So just working with them and making sure they have a good experience, because sometimes you do make mistakes, and just correcting that mistake. And the biggest thing is you can't ignore that mistake you made, whether it was taking too long to ship or putting the wrong item in on accident or something like that. You just have to correct it and make it better. So yeah, working with your customers and making sure they have a good experience.
Yeah, because I think that's the downfall. There's some really great companies, whether it's DTC or not, but if you don't have good customer, good customer service, whether it's good or, bad, that could be your downfall right there, no matter how good the product is. Are you guys international right now, or do you have plans to stretch?
Yeah. So we get orders from all the time. Like, we just shipped a couple orders. We had one from, I think it was some country in Africa. And then we just shipped some stuff to Egypt. So it really, every day there's a lot of different international orders. France, Italy, like just crazy. Australia, we shipped out there. So I think we've gotten orders from a ton of places outside the United States. A lot in China. I don't even know how these people find it, but it's crazy and cool. Six.
Yeah. So this will be a personal question, and is it people who see sneakers being released like through the Nike app, and they've got the sneaker app where they announce it? Does the regular common folk have any chance of getting any of these sneakers when they're released, or do you have to buy them kind of aftermarket through like Flight Club or some of those other, and then pay 3-4 times the cost?
I personally just don't have the patience with the whole sneakers app and the waking up early and waiting outside the store. I used to do that when I was younger. I'd rather not nowadays. I pay the extra if I want the shoe. But personally, you have a chance of getting the shoes for sure. It's not rigged. They have plenty of pairs available. The only problem is there's so many people trying, so many bots and people with technology that can beat out the regular consumer. So it's because of the money involved and because of how profitable the business can be, there is a lot of competition. So you're just going to have to put a lot of effort and footwork in if you want the shoe for retail. So for me, my whole argument is the shoe goes for $100 over what it costs at sticker. You spend 10 hours working, $10 an hour job, you can make that, right? A lot of people end up spending 20, 30 hours on getting that shoe. You might as well have just worked and relaxed the other time instead of spending days trying to figure out how to get one shoe for retail because you wanted to wear it. You could have just bought it for resale. Think about it. So
yeah, the sneakers app has broke my heart too many times that I'm kind of in the same boat with you, Matts. If you look at like the Dior Jordans that released, I think there were like 5 million people who entered to try to get however many exclusive pairs they had. So it's a numbers game, and it is legit. You can get it, but most likely you're going to take an L.
Most likely. But it doesn't hurt to try. I would suggest not trying. I wake up, I tried for the Dior's. I wanted those, You never know. You could end up winning them and you're going to hit big, but it's like winning the lottery. Your chances aren't great. If you want to start a business off selling shoes, probably not the best way to start a business, to be honest, by going by chance. I don't like chance. I like guaranteed.
Yeah. And I've always wondered if you have any insight on, how is the after, market resale value on some of these shoes? Because some of them I think look really incredible, but they're somewhat still affordable. And then you see some that are like, I don't get it. And they're going for $5,000, $10,000.
It's all about like, keep going. Sorry.
No, that was pretty much the question.
It's all about, sometimes it's collaborations. Sometimes it's just about how many were made. Sometimes there's random stuff that happens. Like, I think there was a Puerto Rico Air Max that was supposed to release this year, but it ended up getting canceled because they put the flag on the shoe the wrong way. So the shoe probably wouldn't have ended up going for any more than $200-$300 if it came out. But it ended up, the release got canceled, and all the pairs that were available ended up going for like $2,000, $3,000 just because of that little mistake and how they're so limited. So sometimes it'll be little things like that. It could be a collaboration with Cause or and a famous other company, Sakai, stuff like that. So it all really depends. Jordans all have started going up for a lot now because of the whole Last Dance thing. So it's all kind of random. I'll look at shoes sometimes and I won't understand why that shoe is so much money. I can't sometimes either. It's confusing, honestly.
It's not just me. All right.
Not you, I swear. I get confused looking at sneaker resale. I'll be like, why does this shoe go for so much all of a sudden? But it's all a supply and demand thing. You never know. There is good investments you can make with sneakers that will go up over time, but it's a lot of times it can be a guessing game. So you might just get lucky and have a shoe that goes for a ton of money. Like all the shoes that Nick listed in his top 3 are great investments. The Chicago one has tripled, quadrupled in value ever since it came out, just because of how classic a sneaker it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. And it is, Nikki knows, I've always talked for years since she started that I always wanted the Freddy Krueger dunks, and they're just way out of my price range.
Nowadays, I wanted those since I was a kid too. Those are beautiful. And like the thing, like I know you've seen the Ben and Jerry ones. Those were $100 or something, so retail, and now they're $2,000. So I think it's all a demand thing. If people are willing to pay it, the price will maintain. And a lot of times the demand just continues to grow.
Well, that's all we've got for you guys. I appreciate your time, Matts. I appreciate your time, Nick. This was a great chat. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right.
All right,
Thank
Nick.
you. Thanks, everyone.
All right, Nick.
Bye.